Hello. Today we are going to be looking at the hip circle, or more specifically, it's referred to as the Qua circle. This exercise is designed to relax and release in this area so that we can better manipulate our external structure as well as our internal structure and force. So the area that we're looking at specifically is right at the crease at the hip, where the top of the leg meets the torso. Now, because we're looking at an area that is really effectively inside the body, this is going to be looked at all the way through. So we're also looking at movement through the lower back, into the sacrum, and into the tail. So we start this exercise with the feet directly underneath the hip joints. The hip joints are only your own foot length apart. The feet want to stay parallel. I'm going to show you this exercise first of all using my fists, because it's very, very difficult to see precisely what's going on inside the body. Now, if I make loose fists like this, the idea is that we have one hip that moves forward, one hip that moves back. We have a circle going in the same direction, but one moves forward and one moves back. Then they come back to the center. Again. Allow the feet to be flexible on the floor. We're not lifting the heels, but we can allow them to move so that we can be soft and supple as much as possible. Another way of looking at this, if we are trying to move through the hips, sometimes there is some stiffness, and this is why you can look at the knees. The knees can do big circles, and that will help us try and find the motion of the hip. So a way of looking at this, if I use my arm to demonstrate, if this part is my knee joint and I work it like a lever, one moves forward, the other would move back, and we can do this circle around like this, okay? The top of the leg, you have the hip. So if my knee is doing this circle, it creates movement at the other end of the lever, if you like, okay? So we don't really want to put focus on the knees, but sometimes to find the circle, you can focus on the knees initially so that then you can feel what's happening at the other end and into the hips. Okay, again, one forward, one back, big circle opening, and we relax back to the center. One forward, one back, big circle around, and back to the center. Now, of course, we can do this in the other direction. So in the other direction, you would have the opposite leg moving forward. We circle around. So now we're going in the opposite direction with our circles. One forward, one back, big circle around, and relaxing back to neutral. It is important that you try and achieve as many circles on one side as you do on the other. And even if we start this with a focus on the fists or on the knees, please try and bring the attention up to the hips and then relax the knees as much as possible. Once you're a little bit more comfortable with this exercise, you may even want to bring the hands to the hips so that the index finger sits in at the fold. Then when we do this exercise, you can really feel the movement in at the quad. So we circle in one direction and we can circle in the other direction. Coming to full expansion, softening back in. Okay, so I'm going to show you what this looks like through the back, through the lower back and into the sacrum and the tail. Coming around this way, exactly the same exercise, but bring your own awareness down into this area of the body and feel the manipulation that happens at the same time. So hopefully you've got something to work with here. This is the small qua circle. It's quite subtle, it's quite internal. The other joints, like I said, the knees, you can really see much more movement on, but it's really important we start to focus more and more into the hips themselves. Try and feel the movement, no real forcing of this. Keep it soft, keep it supple, keep the feet nice and easy. The manipulation through the feet is not coming backwards and forwards this way. There's a real softness so that we can work the softness up all the way from the ground through into the qua, through the tail, the sacrum and the lower back. A couple of common mistakes that you of course want to avoid are things like shifting of the weight. We don't really want to be moving from side to side with this. Also be aware that the hips are not swinging. The hips want to stay at the same level through the shot. We don't want to be pushing sideways through them. And one more really common mistake is the body turning as we go through this exercise. Really focus. Really bring your attention into the hips, inside the body, through the crease. Isolating the movement, soft, subtle, and actually there's very little external movement at all. The body stays pretty still. This exercise for releasing through the qua is one of the most valuable exercises that you can work with in your Taiji, in your Qigong, in your Neigong practice. If you have any questions or anything that you want to say about your experience with this, then put something in the comments below and I'll be happy to respond to you. Okay, that's it for today. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have, thank you very much. That's us, and we'll see you soon.